Hello, my gorgeous people. Grace here, by Cadonia, and welcome to another beautiful afternoon in Phnom Penh. I can think of no better weather in which to be helping a friend to haul a heavy bedstead up the side of a building using a frayed rope. After all, what could possibly go wrong? Actually, the French influence is alive and well in Phnom Penh, and nothing quite reminds me of Paris as much as seeing furniture swaying in the breeze. But don't worry, I wore my safety flip-flops, so all was well. By mid-afternoon, I was heading out of town, trying to remember that I'm supposed to be riding on the right-hand side of the road around here. I stopped to buy fuel and it brought tears to my eyes because the price of petrol here is about $1.50 a litre. But I also have so many things to be grateful for. Here is my Googletech filtration sock, which I am so glad to have. And I could even explain to the guy in Khmer how to fill up the tank nice and slowly. A week ago, I didn't even know how to say hello or thank you in Khmer, and now after 5 days of lessons, I can say a few useful things, and hopefully soon I'll be able to say more. At the moment, in the cities and towns, most people speak English, so even when I speak Khmer to them, they reply to me in their English, which is much better than my Khmer. But when I get outside the towns and cities, then it might really come in handy. And I might really get a chance to practice. Now, as you might have noticed, I'm navigating using my smartphone, which is what I've been doing for the whole trip. I have never had a fancy GPS unit. But honestly, smartphones, they have amazing versatility. You can download all sorts of navigation apps and maps for free, and you can even upload GPX onto your phone and follow the single track just as you can with a Garmin. Some people complain that the vibrations on the bike eventually damage your camera, but I believe that's only iPhones. I've been using Samsungs the whole time, and I've never had any problem with damage to the phone from vibrations. However, this phone that I'm navigating with today is not my main phone. It is an old Samsung that I bought secondhand here in Cambodia. And I am super happy to be using this for navigation because, as you can see, the phone is kind of in a vulnerable position there when I stop at the traffic lights and things like that. Even though I've got the little elastic band to hold it in place, somebody could come along and snatch it off the front of my bike. Now, this is not something that I would ever have worried about in places like Thailand or Indonesia, but it is absolutely something worth thinking about in Cambodia. Which is not to say at all that I don't enjoy this place. I enjoy it very much. But there is a little bit more of the wild, wild west still going on in Cambodia. And if you know any history of the place, it's hardly a surprise. So having said that, I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to be solo camping over the next few days. Obviously, I like to have my camping gear with me and be pretty self-sufficient in case I get myself out on some remote trail and I end up sleeping on the mountain. But perhaps I might be a little more judicious about sleeping on random beaches and places where there are people around here. Astute observers might wonder why I have suddenly acquired this sense of self-preservation, which I never had before, and it's a good question. The answer is also a good one. The answer is simply that life is a whole lot of fun, and I want to keep having fun for as long as possible. I've got this cool motorbike here. I've got these dreams of riding all these other places in the world. I want to do Mongolia. I want to do the backcountry discovery routes in America. I want to do India and Pakistan. But as well as that, I now have my budding tour business in Thailand, which promises to be a way in which I can actually sustain this adventuring lifestyle, hopefully without starving to death. So overall, things are looking really good, and I have a lot of incentive not to die stupidly. Hence me being careful about where I camp, and also me being way more careful about my overtaking maneuvers and such like while I'm on the road here in Cambodia. Speaking of which, I'm going to be gearing my bike down even more, so I need to change my rear sprocket. It's worn out, and I'm going to replace the 45 tooth one on there at the moment with a 50 tooth rear sprocket. So I'll be running 14 on the front and 50 on the back. So that's going to make all my gears lower and slower, which will be great when off-road. However, it will have the side effect, of course, of reducing the speed at which I do stupid things on the road. But that's all good, because over the last few years, my priorities have changed. So I set out with a dual sport bike so that I could ride on-road and off-road when I needed to. But now as time goes by and I ride more off-road, I just love it more and more. So that makes me want to gear the bike more towards the off-road side of things. Unfortunately, I still feel like I am traveling with too much gear. It was really weird to get back on the bike and ride off with a decent amount of weight on the bike. So the last 2 years, I've been in Thailand, I've been riding enduro with my friends, and so basically we carry nothing and hope for the best, which you can do when you have friends to help you out when you get into strife. But alone, I always feel like not being able to fix my own bike is going to make me vulnerable, and I don't like that. So I always carry my tools, I always carry my tire levers and my spare tube, and I always carry 2 liters of oil in case I drown the bike and have to change the oil. And like I mentioned before, I have my super basic camping gear in case I need to sleep in the forest. All of this means self-sufficiency, but it also means weight. In fact, when I pulled out for the first time from my friend's house in Phnom Penh with all the gear on the bike, I was totally off balance.
Bye.
Of course, with time, you get used to the extra weight on the bike, but it does make it a bit harder when you're trying to shift your weight quickly on the off-road sections or when you're trying to pick up your bike after you've dropped it. Anyway, these are the kind of thoughts that go through my head as the miles unroll one after another on a road like this. So because I left so late in the day, I am just heading down to Kampot on the main road, which means it's going to be pretty straight and boring. But that's okay because it's thinking time. Riding my motorbike has always been my kind of meditation. Otte!
Bingo.
Okun.
Yeah, delicious.
Oh, but I cannot!
There's not there.
Otte!
Maybe your ride is very far.
Ah, ta-ta.
So you want
Otte.
next time? See you.
Next time! And so I continued on through the roadworks, got a face full of dust, as you do, and I made Kampot just on nightfall, which I was glad about because riding in Cambodia at night is overrated, especially when you're as blind as I am. Anyway, I made it, and what can I say, it was totally worth it. I arrived at this beautiful, simple resort by the river, which my friend Becca in Phnom Penh had recommended to me. And I found myself sleeping, surrounded by this beautiful rosy glow, just under the mosquito nets with a fan, and it was perfect. I woke up in the morning with blissful riverside surroundings. Obviously, the first thing I did was make myself my morning coffee, and then I took a little stroll down from the veritable treehouse where I'd been sleeping and out onto the beach. Here we go. Here's the river, here's the beach, here's nobody around, which is frankly just the way that I like my mornings. There's a view of the river, of palm trees. We've got the pontoon here for swimming, shady palms, and everything you could wish for with your morning coffee. I love it when that happens, when you're riding through the night and you can't see where you're going, and then you just wake up in the morning in paradise. So that's it from me for now. As you can see, I'm becoming progressively more relaxed as the minutes go by. And how could I not? Now, I do actually have some work I need to do today. I need to apply for my Thailand pass so that I can actually get back into Thailand. And I also need to do some correspondence and planning in relation to some upcoming tours. However, I assure you that I will be doing this work from the beach in my bikini, so don't feel too bad for me. If I must have an office, the road is a pretty good one. I will catch you later.